watching Talking About Orks.
In this edition of Talking About Orks, we're going to be going over Deffkoptas. Just in general, outflanking units are becoming very rare in 6th edition because of the rule that you can no longer assault after coming out of reserve. So a lot of common outflanking units you used to see, such as Wolf Scouts, you're not going to see very much anymore. But Deffkoptas, I think, provide a lot of special abilities that would really help, especially if you're playing some sort of foot slogging slow army, like I usually do. Having the Deffkoptas as a fast element are definitely not something to overlook. So what makes the 6th edition also has changed the rules for bikes a lot, like I kind of talked about with the knobs. The biggest thing, of course, is their toughness 5 now, so most things are not going to double them out. So when they come on and get hit by las cannon or whatever, they're only going to take a wound, which, especially if you're like dealing with an Icarus las cannon that's going to intercept them, only doing 1 wound is great. And of course, they're jet bikes, so if they do move, which they have to do to come on the board, they'll get their Jinx save. That's always a plus. They're going to get they get their 4-up armor and a 5-up cover save just for coming on the board. Deffkoptas, of course, are jet bikes, which means when they turbo boost, they can go 24 inches for a total of a 36-inch move, which can be quite amazing for that last-second objective grab and or contest. So what would be the optimal way to take these guys? First of all, is I would give them only their big shooters instead of rockets, because you're really not going to need the rockets much anymore, I don't think, as far as taking out tanks. If you do see a lot of like mana cores and stuff and other things that sit back in your opponent's deployment zone, maybe you still want to take rockets, but I want to try and keep them as cheap as possible for general use, so they take big shooters and 1 power fist per unit. The other biggest change is morale is really helps these guys out. So you only want to take units of no more than 4, so don't take units of 5. And that way, even if you're down to just a single model, he can still rally on his full leadership. Whereas before, you needed half or more. Now you only need 25%. So if you start with 4, you can never be below 25% and still be alive. So even the one guy falling back can rally at 7. It's not a great chance, but it's better than Snake Eyes if you had 5 guys. Or no chance at all if you had 5th edition. So big shooters, that way they have some reach. They can come in 12 inches, fire 36. That's 2/3 of the way across the board if they come along the wrong side. They can get kind of spinny that, because I'm running a unit of 3 with a power fist that's 140 points with big shooters. And in comparison, a Deffkoptas fully loaded is 130 points. So when you compare the two, as far as firepower goes, the Deffkoptas is going to get you 9 twin link strength 6 shots as opposed to strength 5, and most of the time the Deffkoptas is going to be at BS3. Of course, it's a flyer, so it's hard to hit, and so on and so forth. But what the Deffkoptas can't do is contest. Deffkoptas can always contest objectives, and since objectives are a pretty heavy part of 6th edition, that's definitely an advantage. And of course, in one mission, the Scouring, they're actually a scoring unit as well as a denial unit. So getting that extra scoring unit in that one mission is just amazing. Of course, they also give them an extra victory point if they die, but if they're shooting at these guys, that's fine. That means they're not shooting at my Ludas or something that's going to really hurt them. So if you are coming against a real shitty army, you just kind of come on and just hide them. I mean, sure, it's 140 points that are hiding out, but if you're playing objectives, then that last second 36-inch turbo boost across the board to get that objective, after sitting there for 2 or 3 turns doing nothing, is literally can turn the tide and change it from a loss to a win. And hopefully if they're hiding, your opponent will even just simply forget about them. That's always a bonus. So, as I said, these are probably my favorite fast attack choice actually from the Codex. Deffkoptas would be the best one by far, but these definitely have a lot of advantages to them that you should still consider. If you gave up the Deffkoptas because they lost their scout move, us that first turn assault, or they can't assault after outflanking, you know, go back to them, revisit them. If you play a lot of objective missions, they can be really, really useful for that. And of course, you can always deploy them. Say if you take a biker boss, you can join them to a biker boss and have a nice little unit there that way. Or, you know, there's lots of different ways you can use the Deffkoptas. They're not as killy as they were, as useful for like taking out something as they were in 5th edition. They're definitely good for messing with objectives, almost like LR trickery, like messing with objectives. So I'm going to continue to run them and continue to experiment with them. So far, I definitely have liked them. Again, they haven't. Oh, the other thing they're good for is, you know, if you hide in, come in, get that line breaker point. Those secondary points, those secondary objectives on the missions are very, very important. Never discount those. Don't forget that, like, say if you're playing a 2-objective game, your opponent has his, you have yours. Those secondary objectives are what's going to cause a win or loss. So just having these guys come in, hide where they can't be seen, and get that line breaker point, that could literally be the difference in the game right then and there. So, I mean, that's what they're useful for. They're useful for objectives, they're useful for line breaker, and if you got some, you know, light armored units, you know, the second turn they can come in 12 inches or turbo boost, hide somewhere, and pop out and assault something with their power fist. Or, you know, good for tying up maybe some long fangs or another shooting unit for you. Something useful. Keep the heat off you for a turn. So, well, that's pretty much covers the Deffkoptas next edition. They're not going to be, probably not going to kill a whole lot. What they are going to do is definitely be a thorn on your opponent's side when it comes to objectives, when it comes to trying to get those secondary victory points or prevent the secondary victory points. So you really got to think in 6th edition not of killing, but of victory points and winning the game. So if you concentrate on the mission instead of just killing things, then these are really, really going to help you out with that. So that's about it for this edition talking about Orks. Talk to you guys later.